Rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinning Rack. I'm here with my boys Cal and Petey. Say what's up, guys.
What up?
Ready to rock. Let's do it.
So, of course, the internet's been aflame with what Ta-Nehisi Coates said about, the Superman that he's coming out with. And he's writing this with J.J. Abrams in mind. And their Superman is not going to be, let's put it like this, it's going to be a black Superman, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? And of course, this has been the rumor that's been going on for some time. But now, since he is the scriptwriter, this probably puts a pin to that whole thing. Like, is it or isn't it? It is going to be. He's gonna be set in his own universe. He's gonna ponder. He's gonna be in his own universe, basically. And so the question is he going to be doing something like Val Zod or not, or is he going to do something totally different? And what we're getting from him here, it seems as though he wants to do something totally different. So I'm gonna bring this down to our man himself. The super friend himself, Cal. What's your take on this whole article from Ta-Nehisi Coates?
These guys have conflicting statements. Then the last statement that I was hearing out was this: Superman was going to be Superman. It was going to be Kal-El from Krypton, Clark Kent, and he was going to be black. No, none of this alternate universe, Val Zod or Calvin Ellis. That was the last thing that came down the pike. In the case that they weren't going the alternate universe route, where this is going to be, okay, we're looking at the adventures of a different Superman. No, this was going to be Superman, Truth, Justice, the American Way, black. That's what they're doing. The Black Watch. That's exactly what they're doing right here. And as of right now, I'm not on board for it. Probably not on board for it later either.
I mean, we don't know until the story comes out. I mean, Val Zod was a pretty interesting character. If he's going to go that way or not, it's definitely also looking that they want to have what's his name, Michael B. Jordan to be part of the whole thing. I mean, that's what
he said no.
He said no.
Yeah.
I heard something else. That's what they were looking.
He said no.
He said no. Okay. I mean, if he said no, that's pretty interesting.
Well, I mean, it says I'm flattered that people have me in the conversation. It's definitely a compliment, but I'm just watching on this one. That's what he said there. So it's just a rumor at this point that he would do it. He's just hasn't said anything definitive about it. But the idea that
I'll pick up a pity. The idea that they would do something outside of some of the established characters that they already have is kind of interesting. I mean, Mr. Coates comes from the Black Panther. I mean, he's a celebrated writer on his own, but he also comes from the Black Panther, where he is. He read the books that were there before, and the assumption is that he's probably going to read some of the books where they do have a black Superman in other worlds, right? Right, Cal?
Did he read the books that happened before?
No.
I would say he has said he has. So, I mean,
no, he didn't read them. I read the story. He didn't read them.
Whether he has has many of those things informing what happens in the story is different. But he said this is a character he said it into. It's a character he read and he loved. So, that's a whole nother issue. Whether he uses and deploys it, all writers want to put their own spin on things, right? So that's that.
This is more than just a spin. This is more than him. And I mean, this is, this stinks of Hollywood needing to change something. And it also stinks of being a stunt, right? That's saying, hey, how do we get the most news? Rather than doing another Superman film that the regular audience is like, well, wow, what's going to be different between that and what I saw before? It's like, well, he's a black guy now. You get all this buzz and you get all this stuff where they say, oh, having this black thing, this empowers the kids, and the kids now can see themselves like becoming Superman is like a presidential thing, when Superman is one of one. Batman is one of one. Whether they did legacy stories where you did things where there was other Batmans and stuff like that. The idea when you're reading it is one of one, and some of them have been passed down, but it's like at some point we've already done so many legacy sort of characters. Even the Dark Knight Rises has a hint of the legacy between, Batman and whoever that character is supposed to be taking over Batman is going to be in there. So it's like DC has already kind of did a legacy sort of thing there without having the guy pick up the mantle because Christopher Nolan didn't want to move on with those stories. So with that said, I'm not really, I don't know. The thing is like having this black writer to write it because, having J.J. Abrams on a black Superman, he would be tone deaf. So you would just get the black writer to do this. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, they're already going the other way. Like this guy is from, I don't know. It just doesn't, he's still, Superman at the same time is, he's an orphan, he's an orphan. He comes from another world. So you have to factor in, he's like, well, if he doesn't, do you completely black it up and say he gets adopted and goes to is it an Elseworld, that sort of thing, where it's like, okay, so he has to be adopted and go and live in Harlem or something like that, and that sort of thing, or live in the black neighborhood. It's like, because that's one of the elements in there is that he's an orphan. So that means anyone can do it. But then, of course, to do the whole black experience, they didn't even have to be adopted by some black people. So it's one of the things there. And then you have the whole black, there's so many things to sort of think about with this sort of thing, rather than just say, if you want to do Superman, and Superman has always been on deck, even though they kind of sidelined it for these other movies, just do another Superman movie. This is trying to get some interest in this when it could die tomorrow. Having a director, I mean, J.J. Abrams was already attached to it for a while. So, I mean, it's not the best idea when there's a lot of other cool black characters that you can pull. And if you go to DC and you're like, well, there's no black sort of Superman in there, then, you could go to the Milestone characters. They have some pretty visual, barrel-chested sort of heroes, not just Icon, there's Hardware and stuff like that. So there's characters you can pull to have that dynamic, but the whole idea of having that Superman and drag the coattails of the whole Superman franchise is what they're trying to tie into. So that's what makes it a stunt. And that's why I'm totally against it. And I'm against when they colorblind cast and they wake up and say, hey, what if he's a black guy? And say, we'll get this hot writer. It's like, it just really stinks of a stunt. Like the black writer should be like, well, why can't I just write a regular Superman movie? Why does he have to fall in line with the colorblind casting, saying, hey, I'm here to help you out? It's like, no, help J.J. Abrams out on a Icon movie, or something else like that. So that's what I'm saying. This is just another stunt. If they were planning on, if they had a really strong interest in doing this, they would just be putting this out instead of saying, and then we see the trailers and be like, oh, sweat, then maybe there would be a buzz afterwards. But they're putting it out before they even got anything done. They don't even cast the guy yet.
So you think it's like a trial balloon? They're just trying to see what people are going to say, and depending on how they go. I mean, I don't know.
The name's enough to get it done. The names involved are enough to get it done. But I'm saying they're using the names and using him being black as a stunt to gain more interest instead of just saying, hey, I mean, I wouldn't have been happy if they revealed it later, but it's, it would at least not just try to go to the trade to say, we're being progressive. Look, now we're giving someone else an opportunity to be Superman because, the white characters are like, all right, stop it. It's not, this is like them coming up and creating characters, which they've done. They did it in Black Lightning. They created like, I think his daughter already had powers in the comic books. But I don't remember of Blackbird sort of being in there. So there's some things that characters you could pull out and characters you create and say, like Will Smith created Hancock. If you're one of his brothers and you're doing superheroes, if you don't find any of the DC characters, Icon, that you can come up with your own hero and do better, do a better version of Meteor Man rather than just kind of be hokey about it. come up with your superhero, because that's what the ultimately. I'm gonna stop after this. When you look at Miles Morales, and it takes a lot from Spider-Man, and I think the movie kind of streamlined the story because it didn't have him connected to Shield and all that other stuff. It had the basic story that, having the uncle, having those sort of elements in the story, and I was looking at it that way instead of looking at the press releases. I was able to sort of enjoy it that way. So if you're gonna do something like this, you come up with another hero, you try to do some, hit the same notes, or and try to find the story there rather than do this and just take Superman and say, yep, it's the equivalent of them when they were trying to do a comedy before Christopher Reeve got involved. Where they're like, oh, we're gonna have who's that guy? What's his name? Oh man, from the Groundhog Day. But they're like, really gonna be a jokey Superman because they're like thinking that Superman couldn't sell, and they were totally wrong on that. So,
Cal, anything on that?
Anything on what Petey said?
Yeah,
Is that the question?
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we're supposed to be tight for time. So look, this is a gimmick. Stinks. I don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And then they do all the same stuff. We're gonna get somebody to co-sign on this nonsense. Oh, look, we got a black writer. Look, we got a black writer on here, so it can't be bad. And not only a black writer, we got this Coates dude. Everybody likes him, right? So if he wrote it, that's got to be the seal of approval on blackness, because there's no way the Ta-Nehisi Coates could be tone deaf regarding this type of subject matter. Okay, as long as it's a black person, okay, it's a black character written by a black person, and it's by a black person who, I guess who has a lot of weight and a lot of approval from people. Hey, how can we go wrong at the end of the day? Even though this is exactly the same stuff that people were, against. They were like, no, we don't want this whole whitewashing thing. But this is cool.
Okay, man. I guess we beat this a while. So, all right. So
we started beating this. We're gonna come back. We're gonna have to come back to this if they keep this. I mean, come on. Look at this. It's one thing if it was Val Zod or Calvin Ellis. I'd be on board for, okay, look, you guys want to go different universe. But just look what Petey said. He is an orphan. He comes to Earth. Now we got to understand, does he have the same parents? Okay, is it going to be John and Martha Kent? He lands in Kansas. He's raised by white parents. Oh no, we can't have that. He's got to have the full black experience. So he's got to.
So what? He has to
you broke up. Say that again.
Don't say it again, bro.
Somehow he's going to land in the Harlem River and nobody saw the rocket ship. And then they're going to go the same trophies. This will not be the guy who comes to Earth, okay, and is embraced by everyone because he uses his powers and people like it. He's going to have to deal with race, okay? He's going to have to deal with race, and that's the reason why they put Coates on this whole thing. It's like, yeah, we want to try to show this is something socially relevant when superheroes and social relevancy don't really mix, because superheroes can do pretty much whatever the hell they want. They're above a lot of the stuff that we have to contend with. It's such an odious gimmick at the end of the day, because the best you can hope for is something contentious. That's the best that you can hope for with this, is something contentious. And at worst, you have something that's polarizing, okay? And it's polarizing with the character that I have loved for years, okay? But it's also polarizing in terms of a people. And I don't think they get that either. It should never be to the point that your standing as a people becomes a polarizing question for people, because then you have people who are going to support this, not because it's great, okay, or not because, hey, this is something that is a genuine idea.
Sorry,
in terms of the politics of the land.
We just missed you there. You got to say it.
We said genuine, something that's not a genuine. You say that part again?
Oh, it's not that it's something that's a genuine idea, okay? But they're just going to come down. It's like, hey, you know what? Do you support a black Superman? Yeah, sure. And that'll be the end of it, sight unseen. And then you get the same thing, with people who don't support it. It's so ham-fisted, maladroit, and it just stinks from start to finish. It stinks from start to finish. And there's so many different roads you could have taken with this that would have showed more care, more concern, and the bona fides towards constructing something that's like, no, we got something good to offer you people. And this, this is just, this is 3-card Monty on the corner.
Oh my gosh.
I just don't know what to say with you, bro. That's just pretty hardcore.
When you're in the theater, and that's the thing, let's go to what Cal said. When you're in the theater and you have you can get past the was it the Black Krypton. When like what we the ideal that you could say is some religions are based on, right? The next thing you know, oh, hold on, let's see about this. Then you had the thing that Cal said, which was Superman landed in the Harlem River. let's think about that. That would be that once that happens, you see him drop in there, then we're gonna be like, all right, it's time to go. Like it's like we're trying to beat us in the head. And they're not gonna be a cheer like, yeah, it's he's in the Harlem River. He's gonna be on our turf now.
No, you went a step further. I wasn't even thinking about Black Krypton. I'm like, oh Lord, God.
Okay.
Like,
So
oh Lord,
I think-
I can already see. I can hear the drums. Like, oh God, you're like, no, no.
you guys are taking it a little bit too over the next step. I mean, people were saying the same thing about Miles Morales, and we see that he's been
Who
successful.
said that about Miles Morales?
People are like, hey, a black Superman, a Black Spider-Man. I've heard a whole bunch of stuff. People were like, I'm no longer going to be reading that. That's not right, until they realized it was another character. And even then they're like, oh, I can't get into it.
All right, we kind of reversed everything that happened.
Yeah.
The main thing I complained about was that it was a stunt. That after Donald Glover said, hey, they should give me a chance, give a black person a chance for meeting him in the movie. And there was a buzz around it. Then it died out because they said they weren't going to do it in the movie. But at the same time, Marvel did it, and they said, no, we weren't. We were thinking that. We were thinking that looking at Peter Parker and coming up in Forest Hills, all that thing that he was going through, it should be a black guy. He said it on Seth Meyers. Why should it definitely be a black guy? What, because he's a sad sack from time to time? He has some struggles? Like, no, that's the stuff. And then you come up with that, you come up with a cool costume. It's just like, what's that thing? What's that, Spider-Man 2099, which was a fun start. I was like, okay, this guy got a cool costume. Maybe they come with different powers. That's fine. What do they do? They put him in S.H.I.E.L.D. He was like beating up Spider-Man when they first met because he had all the S.H.I.E.L.D. training and whatnot. He had all this karate training and all this other BS, and they ruined it. So then you look at the animated movie, the Spider-Verse. That's where they get back to this being a character that's a legacy character, getting to the aspects of, hey, the uncle, stuff that you can get into, to saying that this is sort of the same thing, but a little different. Where you could, I don't know, it's harder because it's almost blasphemous to kind of say, oh, let's have a Superman, like a young Superboy that's a black character, because not blasphemous because he's black, but then like trying to go to the dynamic of Superman never having a sidekick outside of Jimmy Olsen, which is like a human character. And that's not really, he got his own title, but he wasn't really like, let's go into battle unless they went to Kandor, where they was it the Nightwing and Firebrand or something like that. So, but he wasn't an official sidekick. So Superman never really had one. So it's kind of hard for me to say they should do a Superboy that's black, and then they try to have then we get the same thing that Cal was just saying, the traveling over to another world and then dropping in the Harlem River and Superman finding him. I don't know how to do it. They need someone more creative to really hash those things out, but they would have to hash it out in a regular story and do it in a way that doesn't sit around and pat themselves on the back because we made a black character and we helped out all the black kids that are looking for heroes that don't want to look in your comic book shelves and say, hey, there's no black characters. Oh, yes, there is. And Mars hates when I do it. But just go out there and find them. Go out there and buy them first, and then complain and say, you know what? I want these characters. You know what? This character that's nothing in Star Wars, I want this character. I want him to be his own story. We got the Falcon, didn't we?
Yeah, but we're talking about characters like you can't.
What, you can't compare it to the Black Panther? Come on, find the characters. There are cool black characters out there. Go find them and make stories out of them. Make movies out of them.
Okay, so we said this before that you have the whole thing about ownership and these guys getting paid. They always are interested more in making a new character so they can get something. So I mean, like Miles Morales, we see Miles Morales here.
There's not a new cast of derivative.
It's not.
Anytime I hear somebody,
You got me.
anytime I hear someone and they're saying, "Oh, it's time for a black Superman," I'm like, "Okay, good. Make your character. Make your character. If it's time, make your character. Promote your character. Put that character out there." But that's not what they mean. Okay, they just want a black person to be Superman. So all that stuff that happened, they just like, no, we just want to assume this particular role. It's time to assume this particular role, and it was never time for Superman. Superman was an idea that somebody had. This was not something that was overnight. This was like a few years of trial and error and push on their part to finally get the character out there. And then it was almost kind of like a throwaway idea where these guys were like, okay, we need something for this book. Let's use this. And you get Superman at the end of the day and the reaction to it. So the idea is that if you genuinely have something, okay, and you want to put that forward, no problem. You can get people to be wholeheartedly behind it. If you look at what was done in Into the Spider-Verse, especially in terms of that theme, which I thought was really good, because you have all of these different Spider-Man derivatives from different alternate realities, but what links them all is that same loss that they all experience, like in the form of the Uncle Ben loss. And it's always someone close to them. And that ties them together regardless of it. And that also explains to the audience, okay, the importance of that Spider-Man story, okay, and why it resonates. That's the human component to it at the end of the day. That's the everyman archetype. We get to something like this, and it's just like, it's so in your face phony at the end of the day. It's just fake at the end of the day.
Bro. I don't think.
It is. If you got something that can countermand what I'm saying, I'm more than willing to hear it. Other than that, it's phony. It's fake. Okay, it tries to take advantage, okay, of the milieu that we're going through right now, and it doesn't show any sort of earnest in what people are asking for in terms of characters. The biggest thing about it is that Superman, they haven't been able to get this character right in terms of a film since 1981. They've had nothing but, hey, let's just slap an S on it, put this guy in the suit and see what happens, and they expect money. They haven't put down like, okay, we're gonna have like a 3-film plan or something of that nature. Man of Steel was a court order. That was a court order at the end of the day. That's how we got that film. And then we go through the other stuff as well. So they're over like, hey, look, we got this guy over here. We don't really know what to do with him. Let's make him black, see what happens. And if it doesn't work, hey, they will still take the money. They'll take the money that they made over here and they'll go right back to Superman as we know him and then try again that way. Okay, but we will still have the stench, okay, of the first time we see a black Superman being presented to us like this. It's like filet mignon and it's offered to you on a garbage pail lid.
So, I would just add, there's another thing where, who was it? And this is not, there was no rush outside. I think it was in Movie Line magazine or Entertainment. I think it was in Entertainment, where they asked Denzel about doing a superhero movie. This is well before superhero movies were big, but Blade had been out at that point. And he said, before the Black Panther was out, he said, every time someone talks about superheroes, they keep saying to me, for me to do the Black Panther. And then I say to them, why can't I do Superman? And the thing is not that he wants to do Superman. He never wanted to do a superhero. But he's like, the only way to get these people off my back is to say, I'll only do it if I do Superman. And this is the way people do something where they get someone off their back. And he said that, and he said that to Russell Crowe. And Russell Crowe pointed another angle to that, of playing a character outside of a race, where he was like, Spike Lee wanted Russell Crowe to play Max Schmeling in the Joe Louis story. And Russell Crowe said, no, I want to play Joe Louis. And then Spike obviously balked at it. And he's like, no, said, if you're going to do a movie with me, Spike, I want to do a movie with you. So your attention is going to be all on me. So if you're doing Joe Louis movie, you do a movie about me as that character. And he's not saying to him that he wants to be he's saying, I want your full attention. And Spike should say, oh, he's like, this is a no-brainer. You want to do a movie? Let's do something else. Or I'll do, do the Max Millen story, do the reverse, and have, like Jake LaMotta. And that's what Hollywood does all the time. And it's like, no, Spike is like, oh, this guy's a jerk. Let me get out of here. When it's just like, the guy's asking for his attention the same way Denzel is just like, I'm not interested in doing superheroes. And the way I'll get you off my back is say, hey, when you do Superman as a black guy, I'll do it. And they're like, okay, whatever, Denzel. Yeah, man, what a jerk. And he's like, yep, they won't be asking me that again. He hasn't jumped to do any superhero movies. None of that. It could happen, but it's not like he's like, oh, look at Sam Jackson. Look at Wesley.
They put him in a superhero movie in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they would put him in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, so I guess we've covered it all, guys. So, I mean, there's nothing really else to talk more about this particular thing. Because like Cal said, we're probably going to end up talking about this in the future. But just to wrap it up,
we can talk about doing other black characters. Don't try to shut me up. We can do other black characters. We got them. There's black characters out on the independents in Marvel and DC. Go out there and get your black superheroes.
Yeah, we could do Sin City
and whatnot.
We could do Sin City 3, the story of Manute.
There we go. Whoever you want to do. But yeah, the thing is, go out there and find them. Don't sit around here saying you just want a black. Yeah, there we go. This one is interesting because Martha takes a different road in taking on the mantle of Captain Kurtz, because Captain Kurtz puts her on a mission to actually take his blood, which would be the recreation of sort of the super soldier syndrome. And this is sort of ode to Jack Kirby, where it's saying how much the writer artist gave to comics, and Martha makes a decision that Captain Kurtz has given so much to America and fought no matter what, and she didn't want him to just be bastardized and making a group of soldiers. So it's a powerful story about what Jack Kirby's kind of legacy. But Martha's just a fun character, and Frank Miller's so successful. He has so many characters and movies that are success and/or extrapolations of his characters that became bigger successes, as in the Turtles and the Samurai Jack. So it's like, why not Martha? But I mean, whoever's your favorite black character, go out there and make a deal for that. Like, find one that's cool, because there's other cool black characters. I used to read Captain America and the Falcon, and I enjoyed that. So it's like, it's not, and the Falcon's now in he's taking on the mantle of Captain America, and everybody loves it, right? Well, there's other characters like that, so go out there and find them.
Got it. Okay, well, hey, Cal, anything else?
No.
So as always, I will summarize what the team was saying, just to make sure that we understand. We are all for characters being used, new characters and old characters being used. We are all for, we want to give Mr. Coates the breath and time to expand and explain what he wants to do in his vision of Superman. We just hope that it informs and it takes into its place the history that's been done before, right?
Martha's right, and I say time's up.
And it shouldn't be just a simple blackwashing of a character just because of that. So, Spinner Rack?
Out.
Thanks again for always agreeing with me, guys.